The NFC West up next, and we start with the 49ers in their draft. Ricky Pearsall, wide receiver, goes first. I don't know, man. I was sitting next to Harmon, who Matt Harmon does great wide receiver breakdowns, talking to a lot of guys, and everybody was kind of like, of all of the first wide receivers for them to take, there were other wide receivers that people liked better for what that's worth. Renardo Green, the corner, is in the second round. Also had some people go, Dominic Pooney is an offensive lineman I really like. Malik Mustafa, a player, safety I really like. Yeah. So there was some good value here, but it feels kind of like a B, maybe a B minus to me of like I'm not really sure.
And that's why I gave them a C. I gave the 49ers a C because you're not really sure about any of this. Ricky Pearsall, I do like. I think that's going to be a good fit. Matt Harmon really liked him. He turned me on to him. But I think Matt was talking more about him as a middle round guy, second round guy, even later. Getting value there and not necessarily, hey, this guy showed up in the first round, but I assume Kyle Shanahan will make it work with Ricky Pearsall. He'll be a very, very good player. But part of it too is it's kind of an admission. We're not going to have Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk after this year. One of them is probably gone, maybe before the season even. Both of those guys have been involved in a lot of trade rumors. So that, it kind of, you traded Ricky Pearsall for maybe Deebo Samuel for 2025. Do I love that? No, not really. Some of the guys you mentioned, especially Mustafa, I thought were fine. Good picks. Pooney there is fine on the offensive line. This team didn't have a lot of needs. They could just go and say, we're just going to draft who we want, draft guys for the future. Is obviously a Super Bowl contender. Didn't need a lot, but the overall their grade was just their draft was just fine. That's why I gave him a C. Not really excited about anything. Not really against anything. I do think Pearsall is going to be a good player eventually, but for all the reasons I mentioned, just kind of fine for the 49ers. Gave them a C. It's tough to get really excited about it.
Where are you on the Cardinals? Marvin Harrison Jr., arguably the best player in this year's draft. Darius Robinson late in the first round, the edge rusher. At the time, probably the best of the edge rushers left on the board. Max Melton, a corner at Rutgers that I think has some developing to do, but good. And then they went off in the third round. They had 4 picks in the third round. So we'll see if any of those guys end up developing into them. A lot of picks. So where's your grade fall out for the Cardinals?
I should have given them the Cardinals a higher grade. I gave them a B. Because I don't like grading on quantity. Like, you got these picks for a reason. You traded other assets. It's not just like you woke up with 7 picks. You had to get there for a reason. But I thought these are 7 picks just fine. Of course, let's start with Marvin Harrison Jr. I've called gold jacket talent. He's the kind of prospect you dream about. I thought he was the best player in this draft, regardless of position. I applaud the Cardinals for all the talk about trading down and this and that. They just stuck there and said, no, we're not passing this guy. That's what I've been talking about for weeks. Just take Marvin Harrison. Don't overthink it. Thought some of their other picks were just fine. Like, I thought that Robinson was a good pick late in the first round. But again, you got that first round pick some other way. This wasn't exactly, it's not just handed to you. It's not a gift. So yeah, the cost involved in all this is there. But I thought Max Melton was fine. Benson, I mean, you're going to have to replace James Conner eventually. He was a fine pick. Some people had him as the best running back in the draft. 7 picks in the top 90. You help your team right away. I give it a B. I thought they did just fine with the picks they had, which were plentiful.
Yeah, I think B is the right letter grade for that, given the players they got. And look, if Marvin Harrison Jr. turns out to be just half as good as we think he's going to be, it'll end up being an A draft in the end. The Rams, Jared Verse in the first round, then Brandon Fisk in the second round. And if you haven't seen the on the call video or whatever they call that now, where Fisk is getting the call and then just starts weeping when he starts talking to Jared Verse, like, look, and then Blake Corum in the third round. I thought that was good value. Cameron Kinchins, the safety out of Miami. I think what they told you in the first 3 rounds is that no Aaron Donald means a rebuild of the defense, right? And you're not going to have the same looks with no Aaron Donald. I thought this was a really good sort of a B+ draft to me for the Rams, going out getting good value, but also getting good players that are going to make it an immediate impact. All 4 of their picks from the first 3 rounds have a chance to be impact players year 1.
They could be. I gave them a C+. I gave the Rams a C+ for now. Because I mean, could improve over time. I did like Jared Verse. I thought that was a good, solid pick, but I also don't view him as some elite pass rusher. He's not going to be a TJ Watt type of guy. I don't think. We'll see as time goes on. The Fisk pick to me, again, I always thinking about the cost. They gave up a second next year to move up in a defensive tackle heavy second round. Is Fisk, who's a really, really athletic dude, is he that much better than the rest of the defensive tackles who would have been there for the Rams later in the second round? I say no. I don't like the draft capital they gave up. This was just the Rams and F them picks, right? Like, they're just like, we want them. We're going to go get them. We don't care about the cost. Well, I care about the cost. I didn't like that. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't like the Corum pick at all. I think to draft a running back there, an undersized running back there who doesn't have a high ceiling, who has a lot of miles on him already from Michigan, and you already had Kyron Williams. Like, you already have a bell cow running back who shocked the league last year at how good he was and how durable he was. I think Corum was just, especially for the third round, if you get him later, a fifth round maybe, yeah, I'd be standing on a table for it. He wasn't going to last that long. We know that. But for the Rams, for this particular fit with the third round, I don't love it. I really don't. I just don't see him as a top 10 running back in this league. And third round is expensive for a running back these days. So I didn't love that pick. That's why I gave them a C+, just because of, again, the cost opportunity here just didn't fit well for me with the Rams. It's solid. They built up their defensive line. I think they took 4 defensive linemen. We all understand why. Their defensive line is going to be pretty good next year if you look at their depth chart. But overall, C+ for the Rams. Well, admitting if I'm wrong on Corum, if I'm wrong on Fisk, this draft grade could go up in a big time way.
Look, I don't think Corum is necessarily a world beater, but I don't think he has to be there. Like, he just becomes part of the running back rotation. It's part of the rotation.
You can't draft part of a running back rotation in the third round. I don't love that. I still, the Rams really played well last year and they overachieved, but I think even Rams fans would admit there are some holes in this roster still. It's not a really, really deep roster. So when you talk about, and I agree with you, a good part of a committee, a rotation with Kyron Williams, third round, like, no, sixth round, sure. If third round, no, I don't love that cost.
Well, this is like one of our first big disagreements in a grade.
We're not friends anymore. I don't.
That happened quickly.
I think our friendship just ended over Blake Corum.
Let's see if we can have makeup grades now. I kept that clean. With Seattle next up in our analysis here. Byron Murphy, arguably to most, I don't think arguably to most, the best defensive tackle on the board in a world where defensive tackles have gotten paid. I expected Byron Murphy would go in the first 15 or so. He goes at 16. Christian Haynes, the guard out of Connecticut, small school, but man, big potential there. And then some names people recognize, like Nehemiah Pritchett, the corner out of Auburn in the 5th round, Laumia out of Utah, another offensive lineman in the 6th round. Like, I think this was a pretty good draft. This felt like a B draft to me for Seattle.
That's fine. I give him a C. It just didn't blow me away.
You are top on the NFC West, good sir.
I am. See, I told you I'm not just an A grader over here. We just started with the NFC East.
Who hurt you?
I gave the Seahawks a C. I'd really like the Byron Murphy pick. I think he's a disruptor in the middle, fit a need for them. But after that, like, what's there to be excited about? They didn't have a second round pick. Haynes is a fine pick where they took him. Look, I'll say this about the Seahawks. They're very unconventional. A lot of their picks, especially in the late rounds, work out a lot better than I think. This grade could move up as well. But right now, just like a C. It's fine. It's average. Murphy was good. I don't know if he's Warren Sapp necessarily, but he's a good pick for them. But what after that do I get excited about? Nothing right now, maybe in the future, but that's why I gave the Seahawks a C.
So best and worst of the NFC West would be for you?
I think the best has to be the Cardinals, just volume-wise, right? Like, I mean, they drafted, again, 7 players in the top 90. That helps them immediately and got the best player out of this, especially this division, maybe this entire draft, in Marvin Harrison. I give probably the 49ers the worst grade, right? Like, this was just not an impressive draft for them. I understand what the other teams were doing, at least. The 49ers were like, I don't know. The 49ers to me are the worst, but the Cardinals almost have to be the best.
I'll give you the 49ers is the worst. I think we agree on that. I'll continue to just hammer home that I think the Rams had the best in the division. Okay. I think this is our big first big disagreement. Mommy and Daddy are fighting, and I'm not sure if we'll ever break up. Ever make up. It reminds me of my childhood. All right, we're going to continue to fight for a minute. When we come back, though, we will finally get to the best conference in all the land, known as the AFC. We're doing that next. All right, we made up. There was no hugging because we're on Zoom, but we made up, and we're back to getting along as we continue.
Still going to hang out in Nashville this summer.
Well, I mean, let's not be too aggressive with that. Like I'll text you some places to go. That's the best. I'm not going to commit to anything, Frank. My God. All right.